Welcome to Aging in Place Strategies and Answers with Linda Prio. Will it be possible to remain in my home as I age? Do I feel safe in my home? How do I figure out how much support I will need when my health needs start to change? What if I decide to move into a community instead? Which community will meet my needs now and in the future? Who will play a role in helping me with decision making? Do you ask yourself these same questions? Aging in Place Strategies and Answers can help you gain practical knowledge that will help you create your own Aging in Place roadmap. If you are already a care partner, a power of attorney, or in crisis mode with your Aging in Place strategy, you will learn what you need to know that you don't know. For over 20 years, I have been marketing Aging in Place services to clients and educating families and healthcare professionals in how to put aging in place strategies into place. When you utilize aging in place, you are allowed to choose where you want to live and make those decisions so that you can retain your quality of life. Welcome back to Aging in Place Strategies and Answers. Today I have the pleasure of being with Gina Baldwin. Gina is a certified speech language pathologist and is proudly endorsed by the American Speech Language Hearing Association. Over the course of her fulfilling 40-year career, her joy has been helping individuals forge connections with the world through the power of speech and communication. She is also the creator, developer of an app that can be downloaded to your cell phone or iPad and is designed to aid people who struggle with words, possibly due to Parkinson's, ALS, or dementia, or it could be also used effectively by stroke victims and not necessarily always seniors. I'm so excited to have her with me today so that my listeners can learn how to improve communication with the people that they are currently working with, whether you are an individual care partner or a professional, or working with someone who has difficulty communicating due to a language barrier. You're going to have a valuable tip and tool given to you today. Gina, please say hello to my listeners.
Hello, listeners, and thank you, Linda. I really appreciate having the opportunity to chat with you today.
Thanks for joining me, Gina. Gina, can you give us a snapshot of your educational and professional career?
I graduated with my Bachelor of Science degree in speech pathology and audiology at Western Illinois University in Macomb, Illinois, and received my master's degree at Southern Illinois University of Edwardsville. I started out working with children for 10 years when I graduated from college, and then moved on to working with seniors in outpatient clinics, acute care, skilled nursing facility, assisted living, senior living, and memory care. And currently, I am working in skilled nursing facility and as well as independent living and memory care.
So Gina and I are doing hybrid.
Yes.
Right? We're working a hybrid. Gina works in her industry as I do, but we also have developed business models that can really be helpful to people who are trying to age or professionals that are trying to communicate with their patients. So I love hearing more about your career and what you're doing and how you're keeping your hand in because, and when you work in healthcare, things continue to change and evolve. But we also love working with seniors and their families and helping to people to achieve a higher quality of life. So thanks for all you do, Gina. Now, you might be wondering how Gina and I met because we're kind of even though we're in healthcare, we're not really working in the same line, but we had a colleague who created an opportunity for us to meet. And boy, she blew my mind with what she had to offer because in my career field, we work with folks with dementia who sometimes have difficulty word finding. And of course, we have stroke victims that we're trying to provide care for, and how do we create a good working environment. So because Gina has worked for over 40 years in this field, she can tell you firsthand how important communication is to the patient and to the person delivering care, and how debilitating it is when someone cannot communicate their wants or needs. Gina, can you add more to this picture so that we can really get our arms around this wonderful app that you've developed?
Well, my first thoughts are to you and to the listeners. Can you imagine not being able to talk? It is something that we all take for granted, the ability to communicate our wants and needs. So if you didn't have that ability, how would you communicate to your loved ones, your friends and coworkers? The ability to communicate with others through speech can be frustrating for those, or the inability can be frustrating for those. And the impact can really be devastating and frustrating, not only for that person, but also for their loved ones, their caregivers, and friends, and everyone around them.
And Gina and I are clearly aware of Medicare guidelines, insurance guidelines. And if we're not making progress with the client, what happens then, Gina?
If you can't demonstrate progress, then the insurance will start denying the claim. You have to discharge the patient from therapy.
Right. And so this is why this tool is such a big deal for not only professionals, but also when you're working with someone directly. Now, a word from our sponsor.
My husband and I had previous experience with his mother residing in a large-scale community, and I was determined to find a different solution for my mother. At Family Partners Home, my mother receives personal care from a team of professionals.
That's a quote from one of our Family Partners Home clients who receives care in one of our residential homes for those with dementia. For more information about Family Partners Home, our phone number is 314-686-4468 or online at familypartnershome.com. At Family Partners Home, we help residents maintain dignity while promoting well-being. Residents receive 24/7 supervision and care in a home-like setting in assisted living homes that are located in residential neighborhoods. Each home is a single-family home designed and built specifically for those with dementia. For more information about Family Partners Home, 314-686-4468, online at familypartnershome.com. It feels like home. It is a home.
Let's return to the conversation. So, first question, I always like to ask my people I'm interviewing 3 questions, Gina. So, why is an app like you've developed so important? What's the benefit to the patient and to the professional?
Well, the benefit is to provide the means of communication to the individual who is unable to speak or communicate clearly. And I developed APP2Speak based on my experience in outpatient and skilled nursing facilities. When insurance, as you mentioned before, they don't always pay for what we call an AAC, an augmentative alternative communication device or app. And so when in the nursing facility, the person who lost the ability to speak many times are given a picture word communication board or a symbol board. And so they have to point to photos indicating a want or a need. But what I found so frustrating for the clients that I was working for is the caregiver had to be right there looking at what they were pointing to, and because the board didn't talk. And that's exactly what happened to me with one of my clients who had a stroke, who was using a picture word board. Actually, it was a more picture than symbolic board that I put together for her. And she was Skyping with her daughter who lived in Bulgaria and pointing to the board to communicate to the daughter. Again, the board didn't speak. The daughter couldn't really see the pictures or understand what she was saying, and it was frustrating. And I was frustrated. So when I tried other devices that were out in the market, she became more frustrating because the navigation was difficult for her to navigate through the communication device to indicate her want or need. And she didn't understand a lot of the symbols and the figures. They were kind of like cartoons. And that's when I had the aha moment. And when I researched, there were no actual photo apps or devices out there. So with the help of my husband, we designed, created, and self-funded APP2Speak, which is an actual live or real life photo-based application for speech and communication.
And so I remember even in teaching vacation Bible school, and we would have flannel boards and we would put things on flannel boards. And so what I'm hearing you say is that even in communities, long-term care, rehab communities, that the tool was just very old-fashioned and very outdated, would you say? And so this brings everybody into a new level of being able to communicate by using an app that you can get on your phone or on your iPad that is communicates better, less frustrating, and is such a new generation of communication, right? So that is super cool. Who are some of the people that can benefit from this app? I mentioned stroke. I mentioned ALS. We have Parkinson's patients that are sometimes struggling to, word find or to speak. Who are some other people who can benefit from this app?
I'll give you a few examples that might overlay with what you're speaking about. We have over 700 users in 17 countries. A few example is a stroke patient that is using APP2Speak, and he customized the section. His wife took a picture of a mug of beer, and when he would go out with his buddies on Fridays or once a month to the local tavern, and he would select the beer and it would tell the waitress or the bartender, beer me.
Cute.
Kind of unique. I love telling that story. He also had a picture of his beard, and he asked his wife, could he shave her? It was comical. Can you clean up my beard or something? So his wife really was integral in setting up the custom pages with the actual photos. Another example is a young lady who had bulbar ALS. With bulbar ALS, it's a subset. The individual has difficulty with speech and swallowing initially before physically they have some difficulty before it progresses. And she always liked to say that she liked APP2Speak because she can put it on her iPad and she can throw her iPad in her purse and take her communication with her. And then another example is a gentleman who was preparing to have a total laryngectomy. And so he was having his larynx take out, and he knew ahead of time he was going to lose his ability to speak. He had throat cancer. So he had reached out. We did training. Him and his buddies set up his APP2Speak. They set up the text to speech, personalized it, and personalized the custom pages to the community and the things that he would be doing after surgery. And they reached back out after surgery. He had APP2Speak on his phone, started communicating with the nurses right away. And they were, the nurses hadn't heard of APP2Speak, but it was very warming and kind of makes me teary-eyed to hear the story. And the fun part of it, he explained to me that the first line or sentence on his text to speech, he has it pre-programmed, and it says, "Hi, my name is Bob. I lost my ability to speak. And so I'm Nancy, Bob's assistant, and I will be speaking for him."
That is so clever.
That's kind of cool. So,
I
I
love
mean,
that.
we have plenty of stories, but I'm sure we don't have a lot of time for me to explain all of them.
No, but that really helps us get a glimpse of application use. I love that it promotes independence because that's what we all want. We all want independence. We are not, when we lose this function, we have not lost mental ability. We're in the inside screaming to get out when we can't communicate. And that's what you're offering is a way to promote independence, you know,
Yes.
with a level of professionalism and dignity that we all are going to want. Dementia. Can APP2Speak help folks with dementia? And that was one of Gina's and my conversations as a company called Family Partners Homes, which offers small dementia homes within a community. We wanted to find out, can this really help folks with dementia? So what was your answer when I had asked you that question when we met initially?
Yes, it can. As anything, it's about the person's willingness, it's about their abilities, and it's about family and caregivers going the extra mile. So, an example is Apt2Speak is in a community in Canada, starting from independent senior apartments to skilled nursing, outpatient, and long term care. And so they purchased several iPhones and several iPads, and they put Apt2Speak on all of them. They use it in the varying communities, especially in the dementia unit or the memory unit. And up in Canada, in this area, this community, their residents speak different languages. So what they did was they programmed, so they kind of interviewed their caregivers, they looked at their residents and looked at what needed to be communicated. So they took live photos of different parts of, let's just say, talk about the memory care, the community room, the activity room, the dining room, the refrigerator, different things, and then parts of their room. And so they had it and they also had different languages. So they would program some of the special pages. So the caregiver actually would have the app, but when they were interacting with, let's say, Mary, they had Mary's page and it was personalized. And then Mary would communicate using her specific custom pages. And so they really, I guess, they personalized to those individuals that needed assistance.
That's a big deal. I'm just thinking about how frustrating it is, and we've all been in situations that communication has become frustrating. And the person who's trying to communicate is frustrated. The person who's trying to receive the communication is upset that they can't receive what the person is trying to tell us. But this is amazing because customizable, different languages, pictures, and the speaking part. It's so cool, Gina. It's an amazing app, and that's why I wanted to share it with my listeners. So the results that you have seen, positive, obviously, giving us some of those examples, and professionals, can you share some of those great results that you've seen, even personally from clients that you've been working with recently?
Well, I kind of mentioned, kind of mentioned a few that I have personally worked with. I've had positive reports from some family members, as well as some other professionals from outpatient clinics, reaching out and providing some feedback. We've had some negative things. I have to bring that up because it will help a lot of people, but then a lot of people it may not be appropriate for based on their wants. Not everybody, people are frustrated, but they're scared of technology or they don't want a crutch. we come through that, they think it's a crutch if they use this. They want to be able to speak like a stroke victim. They want to go through therapy and get their speech back. So there's all different kinds of personalities and reasons. One young adult individual who has Down syndrome and was nonverbal loved using the iPad and recognized photos, but the voice output it overstimulated him, and so he became angry. So they tried his caregiver's voice, because he really relates to the caregiver, and she must be in a softer tone. So they recorded her voice on the custom pages for the wants and needs. And so it eventually worked for about 2 or 3 weeks. But then for some reason, he got frustrated again and quit using it. So we don't know exactly, besides some of the overstimulation he was receiving from the speech output, why it worked for, 2, 3 weeks and then he put it down. It's, everybody's different. Everybody has their abilities and inabilities. And we just it's trial and error.
And we would say the same is true with dementia, like you mentioned. Of course, everybody is unique and different. And that's where a professional like Gina can provide that professional guidance. We're not talking about an arm and a leg to buy this app, right? But I always advocate that if you have a loved one living in a skilled community or receiving rehab, then there is usually a speech and language professional in that setting. Or if that is the discipline that patient needs, they will get a professional in to help with that discipline, right?
Yes.
So this is where that professional's opinion, their professional assessment, can be valuable to you in this picture. But Gina, people are going to want to know where to get this. We talked a little bit off screen that sometimes it can be used with children, right?
Yes, it's all about the abilities, the needs, the support. Children do work well with actual photos. It's conceptual, it's holistic. So if a child is frustrated and acting out, the custom features on APP2Speak could be personalized to their things, their toys, their food, their room. And perhaps this would give them a means to reduce the frustration because they can communicate simple things that they want or they need. APP2Speak is not a language learning or core vocabulary. It's not an educational app. There are many augmentative and alternative communication systems out there that address the learning of language and learning of communication and core vocabulary. And then, it provides a means of communication and a means for doing their work in the classroom. APP2Speak is strictly for the speech and communication, for someone who lost the ability or the young one who's quite frustrated and relates to photos. The custom features on APP2Speak can be very helpful to reduce that frustration and allow that child, that young one, to be able to communicate.
I interviewed my cousin early on when I started the podcast because her mother was in a long-term care facility and was really profoundly deaf due to a car accident. And they had to text, right, to be able to communicate with her. But this could also be a great tool to use in that situation as well. If the person is profoundly deaf and can identify pictures and can help in that communication process, right?
Yes, I'm glad you mentioned that because my father was very hard of hearing in one ear and deaf in the other. And as he was aging, his very hard of hearing ear, he basically became deaf. And So I would use, he couldn't hear, but I would use the text to speech on APP2Speak. Yes, I know you can use your text messages to do the same, but with mine, he could see it better, not with mine, with APP2Speak. He could see it better, and I could easily clear it and type again, easy, clear it and type again. So I could just have an ongoing conversation without interruption and not accidentally sending a text message to somebody, the regular text message. So for people who are hard of hearing, it's a means of communication. Do you need to buy APP2Speak for that type of situation? Probably not. But if you do, you have that feature and the ability. It's just easier than writing on a piece of paper, or a wipe off board. It's just so much quicker to type.
Yes, absolutely. So I'm glad we shared that information because this applies so many times in so many ways. And Gina, in our career field, the inability to communicate is indicative of somebody who will then start withdrawing from life and withdrawing from people, and then will also probably develop some sort of dementia. So our ability to communicate is very important. That's why Gina's career field is so valuable to patients when they need that specific discipline. Now, you have a website where people can go and learn more about you and about the product. Okay.
Yes.
And that is called APP and the number 2 speak.com. But they can also go to their app store and look for, and I'll let you say APP2Speak because she's the speech person and she says it a certain way. So I want you to hear this.
So it's APP2Speak, Apple, Paul, the number 2 speak.com. And you can look it up in the App Store, but as you know, there are so many apps. You can type in APP2Speak and you're going to get apps that don't even start with A. The best way that I recommend if you want to learn more about APP2Speak is to go to our website, which is app2speak.com. And there's a badge on there, that the Apple badge. You can click, if you decide you want to purchase it, you can click the Apple badge, which will take you right to the APP2Speak store on iTunes. I also want to mention, Linda, we have a light version of APP2Speak. The light version comes with 20 preset photos indicating wants or needs, and it comes with 5 custom photos, 5 opportunities to customize your photos. And it also, you can use type your message. It doesn't have the speech out. We developed that for several reasons. Professionals who don't have a budget to purchase resources to help their clients. For individuals who are up late at night, mom had a stroke, I need to get something for her to communicate, I can't wait till the morning. And then for other professionals and families who are at the end of life, where quality of life and communication go together. So this will give them the ability to be able to communicate basic wants and needs. The APP2Speak Lite, you can also see the button or the app store for the Lite. The Lite version is $19.99. The full version, which is the endless customization and the text to speech, is $189.99, and it's a one-time fee. It's not a subscription, it's a one-time purchase. You get all updates, and we do free consultations, free webinars, virtual demonstrations.
Would that be for professionals, like if they were buying for a community, or is that still individual?
So that's individual. Professionals that are in a community, a business community, they can sign up for the volume purchasing program. So that's an Apple program. And they can sign up for that, and basically they order X amount and it's a 50% discount.
So I know what I like to think. And so I just did the math, ladies and gentlemen, and it's like $16 a month, hardly. So all I'm going to say is for the quality of life, I'm sure there's other things we spend $16 a month on. This is a super good program. It's a wonderful app. Gina, I just cannot thank you enough for creating this app and using your heart and your mind and your knowledge and your desire to help others to create such a wonderful product that is so 21st century.
Now, a word from our sponsor.
Do you want assisted living services but don't want to leave your home? Call Continuum at 314-863-9912. Our professional team has 20 plus years of experience and will help you create the perfect care solution that meets your current and future needs. Continuum supports independence at every stage of life. Call 314-863-9912 for a free consultation or visit us at continuumcare.com.
Let's rejoin the conversation.
At the end of every podcast, because you've been a caregiver, I've been a caregiver, we're still caring people. And so I like to offer a caregiver tip. And so do you have a caregiver tip for those that are care partners taking care of a loved one?
I do. I actually just wrote a blog article on our website about communication with individuals who have dementia. And so caregivers often find themselves at crossroads, especially when they want to communicate effectively for those who they are caring for. The dementia's impact on the cognitive abilities can transform the simple conversations into puzzles. And then the individual feels misunderstood. Me, the caregiver, I'm getting a little frustrated. So it's important when you're communicating with a person that has dementia, it's crucial to listen beyond the words that they say. You want to look at their facial expressions, their body posture. It's their expressions may not align with their emotions or their communication intent because of their cognitive challenges. So you have to look at the whole picture. In fact, some of their statements, are confusing or they're factually untrue. And so we always suggest, don't argue, let them say what they say, try to redirect them into another situation. Don't correct them, redirect. We don't want to get them upset. And we also want to make sure that we validate their feelings, whether they're expressing joy, confusion, or distress. We need to show the understanding and the empathy.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for that and for all you do. I can't thank you enough. Listeners, make sure that you're aware of Gina's website. Again, it's APP2Speak.com. It's a great way to learn more about that tool. Consult. Gina is available for consultations. And of course, if you're already working with someone who is providing speech therapy, then you can ask for their opinion and bring up APP2Speak to them. Maybe they've never heard of it before, but could help you decide whether this is a great product. But again, it's so minimal. I can't imagine someone thinking, I can't do this. Not for what it brings to the person and especially you as the caregiver, how this makes this experience so much easier and so much better. Thank you all listeners for joining me today, and share this podcast with someone you know. And I'll talk to you again soon.
Thank you for joining me today. Please remember that this podcast is intended as guidance and not advice. Share this podcast with friends and family who are currently in crisis mode or with people who would like to start developing their own roadmap for aging in place. Listeners, if you would like a deeper dive into a topic discussed during a podcast, please subscribe to Aging in Place Strategies and Answers, where you will be able to access premium content. Or if you would like to suggest a topic for this podcast, please contact me at linda.agingstrategies@gmail.com. As always, I value the time you spend with me.